Hello, and welcome to the Fusion Space, the last few days of it here anyway. I think I owe my audience a bit of an explanation as to what's going on and why the channel is going into a temporary hiatus, a little shutdown while I get my life more in order. And it has to do with why I started the channel 5 years ago, and a little bit to do with the chaos that was my life just before that. But we'll start there for the sake of brevity. Now, I've been pretty much a loser until that point. No meaningful jobs. Had a cab driver job for a couple of years, video store a couple of years, security guard, snack shop, things here and there, but nothing meaningful, no career. And no real direction in my personal life other than comics, video games, movies, things I loved, and art in general, I suppose. Creating toys, weapons, weed smoking implements is legal here. It's recreational now, so I hope that's not a big deal to say on YouTube. But that I was the guy in that group. I was that guy in my group of friends who built the new thing everyone wanted to try. And so I've always been a creative type. 5 years ago, I was living with a friend of mine from high school who had pretty severe mental delusions. Worse than I have schizophrenia, but I have medication. I'm very stable. I've adjusted well. The thing with mental illness is there's no real textbook on it. The literal, the human mind is always uh, unpredictable, and you're lucky if you get a good mix of meds that work. It's most people who struggle to find something that lets them function with some kind of normalcy. And my friend was that kind. He was undergoing a very deep, intensive kind of therapy. I mean, his brain had rewritten itself from severe brain damage. I'm not talking about someone who just needed talking to. This was like actual therapy and delusions and dissociative identity disorder. But anyway, after 2 years of living with him, he had a girlfriend who got in his mind and decided to turn him against me and get me kicked out of his house by lying about me and faking evidence that I'd been trying to break into his room. He had nothing that I wanted. I was providing more to him than he was to me. He was letting me live there rent free. So I had plenty of money coming in from my disability. There is no need that, take my word, she wanted me out of his life and fabricated this to get him to call the cops and kick me out in the middle of the night, which they did. But they at least took me to a Metrolink station, and from there I was able to get to a hotel for the evening. I had enough cash to just spot that at least. And then my friends helped me out. A dear friend, I'll go ahead and say his name, Mark Petty. I will only hide the names of the innocent. Gave me upwards of $600 to stay 2 or 3 weeks at a hotel while I figured things out, and I can never thank you enough, Mark. Thank you for this. I made about that much money with the channel in 5 years, but I'm sorry, man. I needed it. I told you then I'd probably never be able to pay you back. That's about as true as it ever was. If I ever can, though, you know. But he's doing well. All my friends are doing well, and I'm very happy for them. I am now hitting that point myself where I have to become an adult, and I have a family that I have to take care of. After my friend kicked me out and my other friends paid for a hotel, I eventually ran out of. I refused to ask them for more money, and I went to live in my girlfriend's backyard. Bit of a complication with my girlfriend, and here's where I'm going to start hiding people's identities because they're still involved in online, and I don't want to direct any attention towards them. But she was kind enough to let me stay in my car in her backyard for 9 months or upwards of that, almost a year maybe, through winter, and she fed me and brought me, let me charge my phone batteries and take a bath when her husband was at work. She was my girlfriend, but it's been an off and on affair, and she's had a marriage, and we've had to hide that from them. Now it's been 20 years, the marriage is ending, and she's looking to me to save her from what has become just an untenable, toxic situation. I don't want to gild the lily here or exaggerate, but he literally killed her with abuse and neglect. After he kicked me out, because, okay, I was in the car for a year or so, then they found out. The neighbors saw me go into the car, and I had to get the car off their property right away, or they might risk getting the house taken away. So I did immediately. I love the family and the kids. I'd never do anything to hurt any of them. You know, so I got the car towed for scrap that same day, and I just went to live in a tent in the woods outside of Walmart until I could get my things together. And finally, I did find a shelter, and they helped me find a social worker and helped me find an apartment I could get with. The landlord took my rent check out of my disability and didn't bother with security deposit. I could never save up 3 times rent what they want you to pay to get somewhere in normal. But down here in the city in St. Louis, if you're super poor like I am, there's people who will work with you, and luckily that's what I found. And he's not the best landlord, but he's not the worst either. You know, he genuinely does care. He just can't afford to fix everything all the time. Slumlord wouldn't be an appropriate term with the pejorative connotation we add to it, but he does technically own things in what most people would consider slums. But good people live here. He tries to keep out the bad elements, thieves and violent people, and keeps it for families live here. You may think things about downtown St. Louis that are true. They're true about a lot of parts, but there are good, safe family neighborhoods here because those people that fire the guns, this is where their families live too. So think of it kind of like the mafia and mob movies. They keep their own neighborhood safe, and this is a safe area, and this is important because when she needed to leave her, no other word for it, abusive and neglectful husband, because he had not fed her and had let her alcoholism get to a point in not feeding her where she lost feeling in her legs. She was so malnourished and neglected, no one was helping her, and she couldn't make food for herself. Her hands stopped working. She couldn't feel anything in them. She couldn't feel anything below her legs and waist. Eventually, it went to entire full body paralysis below her neck, and she went into the hospital from it, and she actually died and had a near-death experience. And relatives telling her, go back, your work isn't finished yet, you have more to do in this world. And she was terrified because she didn't see a tunnel of light, so she thought that meant maybe she was going to hell. And she'd never been a religious person believing that. Her mother was, but she'd been more free-spirited, free thinker. Mysticism, spirituality, yes, but organized religion, no thank you. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. She is now a born-again spiritualist, and willing to accept the word God. She wants to go join a church. Anyway, she came here to live with me. I luckily have a place here where people like me. I'm useful. I'm helpful. And they accepted her right in with me. And she started to make friends right away. And I started feeding her and helping her walk more. And this part is at least documented on our TikTok, mine and hers. And I've been serving as her nursemaid for about a month and a half now. And she's gotten back the ability to walk on her own without needing help up the stairs, to bathe herself, to eat and feed herself, to... I was so proud when I saw her lifting a cast iron skillet. I'm like, you're lifting that yourself? Because when she described it, he would put heavy food in the fridge and like a thing too big for her to lift. So he could technically say, oh, I made food, but she couldn't get at it. She texted me and said, I can see the food, but I can't get at it. And I pictured a cat pawing a glass. It was heartbreaking. The whole thing's been heartbreaking. She suffered so much. And on purpose, she wouldn't let me get her out of that. She wanted to stick it out for the kids. And by God, she did. And they're wonderful kids. And the teenagers, 15 to 20, all, mostly self-sufficient. Hopefully the divorce that is in progress, they've been separated, will not, impact them too much. She did her job, but God, the toll it took on her. She's only recovered a month or so. And now she's gone back there to that house with him again. Her oldest child is thankfully out of the house and self-sufficient. I'm so proud of her. She's about to graduate high school, in fact. The middle child is the only one living still now, so we're still very worried that he's never been abusive to the kids, at least. She always was a lightning rod and took all the abuse on herself. And I'm so insanely proud of her for that. I mean, she's the greatest mother. That's why anything I ever put up with, loneliness or being away for years at a time, or like the 5 years out of contact after I was thrown out of their yard, it's nothing, because she took care of those kids, and she's the best mother, and that's the most important thing for the world, right? Like, that's what I'm doing here with this channel, is trying to teach the next generation how storytelling works, how morality works, how relationships work, how everything I know to value is here in this channel. This is everything that I could ever want to pass on to kids if I had any, and I feel like her kids are mine, even though I love her so much. I love the kids as extensions of her. I've been around, and they've known me, and I've always been like a friend of the family, and just a fun uncle. I always did what I could to help out. 3 kids is a lot for anyone to deal with, and any kind of budget, and I never wanted any harm to come from them, and I'm afraid I have harmed them, because she said that after he kicked me out, after I left, is when things really got bad. That it was pretty tolerable up until about 5 years ago, and then even then, the last year is when she started to deteriorate bodily, go to the hospital. But now she's back there. She doesn't feel safe with me and our neighbors here in this place. I'm packing up to leave, and I don't know what to do. I have 2 days until I pay rent, or I have to maybe not pay rent and buy a car and try to get a job, and then hopefully I can pay rent somewhere else. Or maybe if she's willing, go and throw my money in with whatever she can get and rent a new place. But she just left here like 2 days ago, and we pay rent in 2 days. We were supposed to co-sign a lease on a car. We've been working all month to convince the landlord to build trust in us. And the day we're supposed to co-sign for it, she has a mental freak out. I think she's sabotaging this because she's afraid we'll fail. But I believe in us. I believe in us more than I believed in anything. More even than I believe in superheroes and the power of stories in this channel. I believe in her and us and our love and our future together, and my ability to make her happy, heal her body, her mind, her heart, her soul, and make her whole again. And then, when she's independent, if she chooses to be with me, fantastic. I'll be happy for the rest of my life. If she chooses to be with someone else, even him, that's fine. She'll be healthy and able to make that choice. That's all I want to give her. It's only been a month. She's not really recovered yet. I think I might have to get a new apartment and give her somewhere safe. Back there only a few days, and she's already texted me how unhappy she is. So I have to be prepared for anything. I can't worry about making a YouTube show right now. I have to get my life in order and figure out some way to actually make money for the family that I love the most in the world, her and her kids. And her husband, she says, is just ex-husband. Well, separation, whatever you want to call it. She calls him Rex. Anyway, she says he let the car insurance lapse. The car can't pass emissions. It's been such a roadblock trying to even give me a driver's license. Don't want to let me borrow a car to even take the driving test. And here I am trying to get a car and buy one with, I'm going to sell my comic collection if I can and use that. Hopefully it'll be enough. $3,000 what I've been quoted. I'm not asking my audience for any money. That's never been what this is about. I just want to explain why I'm not going to be making videos for a while until I've got this stable and it is something more important. But she said the channel was an inspiration to her. He took her phone and her computer away and cut off all of her contacts and isolated her as much as he could. And I'm afraid he's going to do that again. And so the last thing I told her is that if I don't hear from you in a week, I'm going to do a wellness check. I'm going to come there with my brother who owns a security company in town, or I'm going to call the police and have them do a wellness check. She has friends in the police department. They were already mad at him when he brought her to the hospital, and they said, you should not have let her get like this. You're legally liable for neglect. The house had been condemned before. They own the land, but if they lose it to condemning, I don't know what happens to it. And when she leaves, he's trying to punish her by not taking care of anything to force her to go back there and do all the work. And I'm just trying. I have to do whatever I can to get her out of there and get her safe. Now that she's finally willing to let me save her. I'm sorry, I have to save the woman I love for real. I have to be Superman. I can't pretend to be him anymore. I hope you understand, and I do promise the channel will resume when I'm able to, even if I have to edit it while living in a car. But this just has to take precedence. But I thank you all for watching. All of you. Thank you. And I hope to see you all again. Hopefully very soon. If luck and fate are with me. I have belief. Goodbye for now.